Yo, what's good, everybody? I want to welcome you to my channel, Just My Opinion. My name is Cosmic. I will be your opinionist, sharing, just my opinion and perspective on sports, mainly basketball, and kind of how I see things. I'm sitting in my living room right now, smoking hookah. So occasionally you'll see hookah smoke blowing throughout. But I'm a lifelong basketball fan. Fan of especially the NBA. I don't really watch much college basketball anymore, not as much as I used to growing up. But a lifelong hooper, former hooper. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a hooper these days, but I love the sport. I don't care who's playing the sport. I don't care if it's adults or watching youth or teenagers play. I don't care if it's a church league. I'm a watch, and because I'm a huge fan, just a huge fan of the game and the sport. I fell in love with the game as a child, long before I could even form an actual shot and shoot an actual jump shot. I fell in love with watching the Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy Lakers in the '80s, the Bird, Parrish, McHale, Boston Celtics, the Dominique Wilkins Atlanta Hawks, um, the Detroit Pistons, led by Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Lane Beer, and those guys. Obviously, you know what I mean, the Jordan Bulls through their iterations of time, and yeah, so I just fell in love with the game and just kind of watching, and man, that eventually led me to going outside to try to mimic some of the things that I saw through observation of even the older adults playing in my neighborhood. So, um, at the behest of my lady, she's like, you should start who's not a sports fan, by the way, but she's like, you should start a channel, dedicated to talking about sports because I don't even like sports, and I find myself just sitting up listening to you all the time. I like force feed my opinion to her, as I'm just kind of talking about the sport and what I'm watching and what I'm observing as I'm watching NBA games or after the fact. So anyway, here it is. I want to talk today. About this new era of the NBA. If you are watching the NBA, if you are watching NBA playoffs, especially this 2024, it is the middle of the day, Wednesday, May the 8th or something like that, 2024. So just to give you a frame of reference, I'm watching these NBA playoffs over the last couple of weeks, and I'm excited. You know what I mean? Like I'm reinvigorated with the sport and just the NBA as a platform as of late. It gotten, I don't know, a bit stale, to be honest. And what I'm observing right now, man, has just got me so excited. We have witnessed thus far a a very stacked Phoenix Suns team. Containing the likes of the legendary Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, who's amazing, Bradley Beal, incredible shooter and ball player. I mean, we just watched them get ousted by a very young Minnesota Timberwolves team led by an incredible young 22-year-old Anthony Edwards, um, Carl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year in the year 2024, 2023, 2024 season. Congratulations to him. We have watched and witnessed, obviously, the Boston Celtics, get through a hobble, Miami Heat team or get by them in the first round. We've watched, are watching the or have watched the Dallas Mavericks take down Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Paul George's LA Clippers team. Shout out to Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic and those boys who are playing really, really good. But we're watching right now, presently, the Oklahoma City Thunder, young Oklahoma City Thunder team led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Man, Shai is a beast. Um, and Chet Holmgren and those guys. We're watching them right now take on the Dallas Mavericks. Game one was last night, and game one of the second round of the NBA playoffs that saw those two teams, Oklahoma City and Dallas, go up against each other. And we watched young Oklahoma City throttle Dallas. I mean, just handle those boys in a fashion that they should have as the home team, as a number one seed. Actually, Oklahoma City, shout out to them, not to be understated, but as the home team in a series, game one, game one and two are played in the higher seeds building, and they're expected to take game one and game two. So of course, Oklahoma City definitely did that, and but it's not just that they won and just that they handled business; it's how they handle business that is the most impressive. I think most impressive through these playoffs. Also, I'm sorry, last night, not to move too fast, but last night we also watched the Boston Celtics, um, led by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Shout out to Derek White also, who played incredibly last night. Game one of the second round playoff series versus the Boston Celtics versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. That young Cleveland Cavaliers mob led by Spidey Mitchell, who was an incredible scorer, and those guys. But we watched Jaylen Brown, put on for the team. Derek White, especially, man, had a great game. I believe he knocked down 6 or 7 threes in the game, in the contest. And Jason Tatum didn't really get off to the start that he wanted in the game, but I think he eventually ended with a pretty good stat line. Shout out to Jaylen Brown, who scored 32 points in the game. It's had an amazing game, but we watched the Boston Celtics, take down the Cleveland Cavaliers in game one, which was a very interesting and very entertaining contest. They actually kind of blew those boys out too. But I wanted to talk about this new era of the NBA that we are all witnessing. If you are a fan of the sport like myself, I'm certain that you must be enjoying what you're seeing as well. As I speak about this new era, I cannot not mention the defending champion Denver Nuggets, led by Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, and those guys playing really, really good basketball. We watched them punish in a gentleman's sweep the LA Lakers, led by the legendary LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and those guys. But they took down the Denver Nuggets, meaning they took down the LA Lakers, took them out in that first round series, 4-1. And that's caused them to earn a bid to the next round, where they're now taking on that young Minnesota Timberwolves team that I spoke about, led by Anthony Edwards and those guys. This new era is really exciting to watch. So changing of the guard, as one of my friends have kind of mentioned to me in conversation as we talk, and this new era or changing of the guard is it's long overdue, and it's necessary, and I'm excited about it. But watching these guys, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm speaking of specifically here, take on and take down the Phoenix Suns team that I mentioned earlier in the first round of the playoffs. It's not just that they swept through this first round series with the Phoenix Suns, but it's how they did it. You know what I mean? So they literally dominated the ball, or dominated the games on both sides of the basketball, offensively and defensively. Man, these young boys are out there swarming around. I'm seeing defense play in the NBA like I haven't seen in a very long time. This spread offense has been really good to watch in the NBA. Seems like once you beat your man up top, man, you got him. It's a clear path, like Olay to the lane, and you know what I mean, just score if you can finish at the rim, either with layups or dunks, and that's caused a spike in the scoring in the NBA, by and large, and that's okay. It's okay to see, I think, players score a lot of points, and that's entertaining. You know what I mean, in its own respect. But man, I like defense, and I know that the game is played on both sides of the court, both offensively and defensively. So I get excited when I see a player not only scoring on you, but then he's like, I'm gonna shut you down on the other end so you won't score points on me. That's how I was raised playing the game. And so, you know what I mean? I enjoy it when I see players really take onus of playing on both sides of the ball. That is what young Anthony Edwards did in that Phoenix series. If you guys saw it, he was not just scoring points, but he's talking on the other end. You know what I mean? Like, as he's going back, like, yeah, bucket in your eye. Come down here with it now. Let's see what you got. And giving max effort to just, man, play defense. It's crazy. You know what I mean? I love it. Just to see in this NBA, it's almost like watching unicorns play. You know what I mean? It's like the dawn of something that is fresh in this NBA, which is sad to say, because defenses seem like it just hasn't been existent in the league in many seasons. But it's good to see it, you know what I mean, on display in this year's playoffs. So after sweeping through the Phoenix series, man, watching the young Minnesota Timberwolves team go up against this Denver Nuggets team, again, defending champion Denver Nuggets, who won the championship last year, who, as we watched the Denver Nuggets take out the Lakers, man, it just looked like, man, nobody's going to beat these people. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they're poised to win another championship. You know, people just can't seem to stop Jokic. That pick and roll game with them, or just Jokic controlling the offense the way that he does, as a 7-footer, being able to bring the ball up the court, initiate the offense, have the offense, run through him in the low or the high post. And it's just, oh man, just so shooters like Michael Porter Jr. and these guys, like it was almost like, man, it's gonna be tough to take these boys down. But Minnesota, up against them in the second round series, the young Minnesota Timberwolves, when they mollywopped those boys, it was shocking. I was like, man, like I wasn't expecting them to be down 30 plus points in the game. At some point, I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves led by like 32 points or something like that at one point. And I was shocked. But impressed at the same time. I'm not sleeping on this young Minnesota team. I think they finished at like the number 3 seed in the West this year. And so they're not to be slept on, in any regard. But to see how they handled themselves in that Denver game, man, was just like, bro, I honestly don't think that they can be beat. Not playing the way that they've been playing. Again, this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You can share your opinion down there in the comment section if you like. But playing the way that they're playing on both sides of the ball, man, it's going to be tough to beat a team like that. And that's any team. Even watching the Oklahoma City team play last night, it's going to be tough to play to beat a team that is playing both sides of the ball tough, that have a nucleus and a core group of young players who have all bought into the schemes and the systems and the style of play. So shout out to those organizations, number one. Shout out to those coaches for getting those guys prepared and ready for the games and for their matchups. But the organizations I want to talk about as we talk about this new era being ushered in, and as I talk to you all and sharing my opinion about seeing it ushered in and being a witness to that. Shout out to Oklahoma City, the likes of Oklahoma City, and the Thunder, and also the Minnesota Timberwolves, man, who built properly through the draft, their own homegrown, talent that they're able to draft and develop, for building properly through free agency, and not just trying to stack a team with yesteryear stars or big names and building super teams and all that silliness. Now, they took their lumps, over the years, and they paid their dues and got themselves to the point where they are now. No, I don't think, not a lot of people outside of Oklahoma City fans saw them coming into this season as being the number 1 seed, or that they were finished as like a number 1 seed in the West. That's just like, nobody saw that coming. You know what I mean? Outside of Oklahoma City Thunder fans, I personally did not see it coming. I also did not see the Minnesota Timberwolves finishing in the top 3, and I say that because Karl-Anthony Towns, who is their big, their power forward, all-star, great basketball player, inside, outside shooter, great touch from the outside. He went down with an injury midway through the season, and I just felt like he was such a huge part of what they do offensively that it will be hard to maintain the level of play without him. And I was wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. So again, I share my opinions based on what I've been observing. I do want to make a point. I do want to make a clear point here as well. I am not a fan of any team in the NBA. I am not a fan of any NBA team. So I'm not like, oh, you know, I'm gonna ride with my Lakers. I'm not a fan. I am a fan of basketball. So it is easy for me to just sit down and watch and observe a good basketball game. I love to just observe what the players are doing, unbiased, and I can share my opinions based on what I'm seeing from that perspective, and not sharing from my heart because I'm wrapped up or emotionally invested in one team or the other team. My lady will ask me all the time. She says, like, I'm going to watch the game with the fellas, babe. I'll be back. And when I come in, she's like, did your team win? And I'm like, I wasn't rooting for anybody. I was just kind of watching the game. I found it actually a lot more enjoyable over the years to just take in the sports and all sports that way, without having a favorite. I'm able to just kind of go in and watch, what's happening and be present in the moment for what's happening, as opposed to sitting on the edge of my seat, chewing on my fingernails and hoping that, my team can stop this team from scoring. I'm just looking, you know what I mean? And as an observer, I've just found that it's a lot more enjoyable that way. But again, this new era, man, I'm excited about. I'm excited to see these young players, continue throughout this playoffs, this season's off season's playoff, and to see the crowning of a new champion potentially, and the dawn of a new day and an era in this NBA. I, in my opinion, feel that if the Minnesota Timberwolves make it past, as they definitely look like in game one, but it's a long series, and that's not to get ahead of ourselves or get ahead of myself. But I think that if they can make it beyond this series versus the Denver Nuggets, I think they'll take it all. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I think they definitely have a chance to win it all. And I would love nothing more than to see a fresh team take a championship that has never won one. I mean, especially with this core of young guys, I think it will be good for the sport. It would definitely be great for a small market fan base like Minnesota, to just see them, take the crown and to wear it. So again, I just wanted to share my opinions here. If you don't agree, share with me your opinions in the bottom, in the comment section. I'm open for the dialogue. I'm cool to be challenged on it. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Some of them stink. So I'm not taking it personal. I will not take it personal if you do not agree with what I'm saying. But at the same time, I just want to welcome you guys to this channel. I got a lot of plans for it. The scenery you'll see will change. I'm sitting in my living room right now, but I'll bring in some co-hosts, some of the homies that I take in the sport with, to get together and just kick it and share some of their opinions. Also, the conversations that we have surrounding the sport are really interesting, and I think that even if not a shared opinion, it'll just help to give a different perspective, and that's really what it's all about, to help to grow all of our base, and to help to open our minds a little bit, so that what I mean, we aren't so biased in what we observe, and through that, I'm hoping that the success of this channel will grow. Looking forward to sharing opinions and hearing you all's comments as well. And that's all I got for today. We're witnessing a new era in the NBA, and I couldn't be more excited, as a fan, and even excited and more excited for these young players in the league, who are going to get a chance to make a name for themselves. And I promise not to do one thing here. I will not on this channel share with you guys the opinion that I heard on somebody else's channel or in the mainstream sports news media. I'm not interested in being a mockingbird. I am not interested in doing reaction videos to what this person said or what that person said, and then sharing my opinion based on what I believe, beyond what I don't care about. I don't care about that. It's not interesting to me. What I care about is sharing my opinion, a fresh take and perspective, based solely on, what I've observed and what I believe, or what I opine, based from there. So again, excited, for what's to come. Man, you guys continue to enjoy these games. I can't wait for the games tonight. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'll see you soon. Subscribe and tap in. We'll see you soon.